So this is my Street RX8. I've done many things to it, lots of burnouts, whether it was hot or cold, track days, I let my friends use it. When people are in town, I've tested different radiators, OEM radiator, Megan Racing radiator, Mishimoto, Koyo. So it's really been my shop test mule and my shop fun car. After about 20,000 miles on the rebuilt motor we did here in-house, we started seeing a little bit of a startup issue. We figured we'd tear it down, see what was going on. This is a car I've, like I said, abused, let many people have fun with. The intent was to have a fun car, like we all want. It's an RX-8, it's supposed to be fun. The motors have some myths. A lot of people are concerned about lapping, concerned about their fuel, concerned about premix. So I'll show you what my motor looked like after I abused it as hard as I could with about 20,000 miles on it. It was a rebuilt motor, OEM parts, lap side housings, ran ethanol in it, did a lot of the things people say you're not supposed to do. Burnouts when it's cold. I pretty much did all the no-nos. When we pulled it apart, it wasn't any of those things. Surprising to us, it was actually a blown water seal, and it didn't even look like it was due to any overheating or anything like that. It really looks like it was a grounding issue, which was kind of a surprise to all of us here at the shop. We expected something else. So that'll be something in the future. We'll check into our car's grounding. But here's a little teardown sequence. This is the motor. We abused, we did burnouts, we ran with ethanol, cold starts, different radiators, lap sides. Turned out it was a good motor. Ended up putting some new motor housings in it. We're going to start it back up here in just a minute. So we started with some basic modifications, suspensions, wheels, tires. And a couple weeks ago we actually lowered it down some more. And I got back from one of the Formula D events and we decided it would be a good idea to take the Renesis motor out, see how it's looking inside, and maybe do some more aggressive porting. Have a little more fun with this street project. So, motor's coming out.
Big grab.
Project RX8. Going bigger with the street car. Or at least working on the street car. So what's your tips, Calvin?
When moving motor engines, it's easier to disconnect the harness from the ECU than the harness from the engine.
Damn straight.
When you're disconnecting your oil lines, you don't have to unbolt them. There's these
cool little quick disconnect clips.
These guys right here.
Don't lose those.
Don't lose them.
Very important.
Makes it easier to disconnect those lines.
And realistically, the factory says to drop the subframe and pull these motors out through the bottom. And I think I did that once and decided it was way easier to do a traditional motor out through the engine bay. So,
yeah. Got you with a booby trap.
Quick tips, Renesis, how to take your motor out. All right, so just like that, Renesis motor out. It's just a few nuts and bolts, right?
Oh, they're just a handful.
Just a handful.
They're all 10 mil also.
Yeah, 10, 14, 17, 19.
12 and... But anyway, you understand what I mean.
Oh yeah. Further stripped down, you can see the bare block. We're just pulling off some of the last accessories down to the clutch, and then we can do the disassembly. Box full of everything that came off, lower intake, the actual motor. Not bad looking in there. About 20,000 miles. Use good oil, use good fuel. So we got the RX8 engine open. And we were kind of knowing that we were looking for some type of water leak, which is typical to the Renesis, and there it is. I already kind of picked at it, and you can see we've got corrosion on the rotor housing leading to a blown water seal. Internally, the motor looks really nice. Side seals, corner seals. Here's actually the side housing, and this is a lapped motor with about 20,000 miles on it. No issues on that. Overall, internally, it looks really nice. Just looks like the rotor housing lost a water seal. At least that's what we're seeing inside the back chamber. There's the rotor, the side housing. We'll continue disassembly, see what else we find. With the RX8 street motor apart, we're checking everything out. This is the front plate after we cleaned it up. This is one of the ones we lapped at Mazda Tricks. It's got about 20,000 miles on it. You can see it actually looks really good. No issues. We're not going to do anything other than the cleanup we've already done. Some fresh porting with the KMR B2A templates, just minus the little half bridge, and it's going to go back together. A little more cleanup, and back in the car. A little bit of porting. Got the rear rotor in, using a little bit of Hylamar just to seal up our oil passages. Getting ready to put the rear plate on. Got our motor flipped over. Now we're going to put our front end together. Everything's torqued down. Looking good. The oil drive getting put in. This is still really fresh out of the motor. And you can see, even with almost 20,000 miles on it, decent oil, not getting too hot, good fuel. I've ran some different ethanol blends through this thing, lapped housings, all the things people fear. And the motor was running fine, great compression. And the one thing that we really didn't expect, water seal to go out, was the enemy. Almost ready to go back in. KMR Streetport, Renesis motor, a little freshening up. Doing more, just put the Exity clutch that I've had on there in. It's a cool little setup. It's actually a sprung carbon single. Very smooth, still grips a lot, streetable, trackable. Also put the pan on. I usually don't put oil pan gaskets, especially on most of my personal motors. I just use a really good high temp silicone. And there it is, button back up, torque everything down, and then start to put all of our exterior components on so we can put it back in the car and go have some fun.